Hi, Karen. Carly, are we already recording?
Yes, we are.
Oh, okay.
I can stop it though. I'll just pause it.
Thank you. Outside of our AGM, please note that we will record this meeting for those that are not able to attend today's session and send this out at a later date with additional material. As part of our housekeeping for the presentation, we would ask you to mute your microphone until it is your turn to participate, and we would encourage you to keep your camera on, as it is always great to have a face to the name. If you have questions throughout the presentation, you can add those to the chat box section, and we will try to address those questions during the presentation and or as part of the Q&A section. To start our presentation, we'll put up a poll as an icebreaker, and we'll include additional polls throughout the session. Now that we've covered those details, we can go over how today's presentation will move forward. And we'll include a board update, a panel discussion regarding our members' experience with moving from in-person job fairs to virtual job fairs. There will be an opportunity to network and a Q&A portion. Note that we are not representing on behalf of any of the job fairs that are a part of the discussion today. I'd like to thank those that participated in the poll. I'm not sure if we finalized the poll or how quickly that went, but if Carly wants to put that up, we can see as to how things go. We'll quickly do that. Personally, I'm all about the holiday treats. I thoroughly enjoy making cookies with my kids and nieces and nephews. And so we'll come back to the poll in a little bit. I will now hand it over to Sarah Belil, who is our vice chair. She works for Health Force Ontario, but also wears the hat of vice chair with CASPR. She will lead the board update with updates from our committees. Thanks.
Hi everyone, thanks for the introduction, Shannon. So it's nice to see everyone virtually and to be able to connect virtually. I know it was unfortunate we weren't able to connect in the spring, but we'll just have to make do with what we can in this new virtual world. So I won't take too much of your time. I know we're really here to kind of, discuss the virtual career fairs, but we did want to provide a quick update of kind of what the board's been working on as we move into 2021 and what to expect from CASPR in this upcoming year. So I'm going to give Paula the chance to discuss a conference update. I know that's something that maybe you guys have been eager to hear about. So I'll let Paula give us an update on what the conference will look like in 2021.
Hi, thanks, Sarah. Myself and Cindy Snyder are the conference co-chairs this year and last year. As you know, last year we had to cancel our conference as COVID was just taking hold at that point. So I'm here today to tell you a little bit about the committee itself, and then our plans. The conference committee is composed of 2 chairpersons as well as the CASPR treasurer. It's helpful to have the treasurer involved in terms of budgeting and payments and such. Our committee is also supported by the CASPR administrative assistant, Carly, thank you, as well as the education and communication committee chairs, because they play a big role in the conference as well. On top of that, we have a couple other CASPR members who volunteer their time to assist with the conference planning. The role of the conference committee is obviously to plan and execute the annual conference. Oftentimes the conference is preceded by an education day for our members. So we've offered the Fellowship 201 and 301 programs over the years. After having to cancel the 2020 event due to COVID-19, we decided to survey our CASPR members about plans for 2021. We found that most members were not comfortable with traveling, and with so many unknowns about what would be happening with COVID come 2021, we decided it was time to adapt a virtual format and switch our conference to entirely virtual for 2021. This will ensure we don't have to cancel our event again, and it will allow us to continue to provide value to our members in terms of the conference and what it brings to everyone. The 2021 conference is expected to take place in mid-May 2021, and we will have a save the date coming out by the end of the year. We're just at the point now of firming up our MC as well as a production team that can assist us with delivering the virtual conference. When it comes to the conference in general, typically it would follow a schedule whereby it's held in Ontario every other year, and then in the West and East Coasts during the alternate years. However, because this is not always possible, it really does depend on the interest received. So we do welcome and accept applications from all provinces when it comes to hosting a CASPR conference. An expression to host the 2022 conference will be sent out early in the new year. Once the decision is made on where the conference will be, the chairs will be announced and they will send out an ask for CASPR members to assist in planning for 2022. A point to note also is the conference chairs also become part of the CASPR Executive Committee during the time of the conference planning and execution. That's pretty much our update for the conference. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thanks, Paula. Oh, sorry, was there a question?
Pardon me.
If you have any questions, you feel free to put them in the chat box and we can get to those. Just in the interest of time, I will actually pass it back over to Shannon, who's going to give a brief update on the Education Committee, because I don't believe Denise was able to attend today.
I'll just unmute myself and make sure that you guys can hear me. So the Education Committee is led by Denise Cologne. Denise has been a CASPR member for many years. She has volunteered in different roles like the conference chair back in Fredericton and has led the Education Committee for a few years now. Their committee is currently working on plans to present a virtual 301 session in 2021. The committee is looking for a minimum of an additional 2 members as part of their committee. The responsibilities of this committee include some of the following: assist with reviewing content of the 301 course, be presenters of specific sections during the 301 fellowship session, assist with brainstorming and coordination of other educational events. If you have passion for education and teaching others, this committee would be a great fit for you. Committees meet once a month, and additional hours volunteered would be associated with specific tasks determined as a group. If you are interested in helping out but can't be a committee member, look at helping in smaller timeframes with assisting with specific tasks or volunteering your time to be part of a panel for an educational session. And note that they are working on confirming a date for the Fellowship 301 session, and the group will be letting members know via social media, e-blasts, and our newsletters, and we look forward to hearing from you regarding volunteering with this committee. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Shannon. And I don't believe I see Jennifer Anderson on to provide a membership update. So I wonder, Shannon, if you're able to just provide a quick update on the membership as well.
Yeah, so Jennifer Anderson is the committee lead for the membership committee. We're currently looking at increasing our membership to other stakeholders. As per our AGM, we are in the midst of doing a name change from Canadian Association of Staff Physician Recruiters to Canadian Society of Physician Recruitment. We're really moving forward with trying to solicitate more membership from municipalities, clinics, and from foundations. Hi, Marcel. Do you mind muting your line, please? Thank you. So yeah, their committee is busy with trying to increase membership and details with different surveys and things like that. At this point, I don't have as much information to go over, but if you guys have any questions, we can always direct you to Jennifer or to Trish at a later date and to get more information how you can get involved. Thanks.
Great, thanks, Shannon. I'm going to pass it over to Brenna to provide a treasurer report update.
Awesome. Thanks, Sarah. Well, it's so great to see everybody virtually. Looking forward to the next time it can happen in person. So my name's Brenna. I've been covering the treasurer role, I believe, for about 3 years now. It was definitely an unprecedented year, lots of change. From a financial standpoint, I can say the beginning of the year had a bit of anxiety on how 2020 would roll out in the middle of a pandemic. Happy to report that the board and the organization has maintained a strong financial place throughout this entire pandemic. And at the end of the year, I mean, we still have a couple weeks to go, but we've actually grown our retained earnings from last year, where we ended at 12,000. This year, we're already looking at about 22,000. So that's a really great indicator for the board that we've actually had some growth and stability, and that'll allow us to just continuously invest in the development of this organization. I do want to put in another pitch. Just remind everyone to complete their membership renewals, which are expiring at the end of December. So only a couple weeks away. I can't believe how fast Christmases are coming around the corner. And also that we are looking for a new treasurer to start in April. So my term is ending. I am also expecting at the end of April, so I am very much looking to hand off. The treasurer role, really, if you have experience in Excel or a willingness to learn Excel, I'd say that's kind of like the knowledge or experience you need to be coming in with. In terms of a time commitment, I spend about 1 to 2 hours a month on reconciliation, financial reconciliation, and then about another 2 hours in meetings. So the treasurer role has the opportunity to sit on the CASPR board, which is a 1 hour monthly meeting, as well as sit on the conference committee, which is another hour monthly meeting. I can tell you that it's a really exciting and amazing group of people to work with. I've personally just developed so much having the opportunity to sit on the CASPR board and take over the treasurer role. So anyone that's looking for another kind of professional or personal development opportunity, I'd really encourage you to consider either the treasurer role or just getting involved in any capacity with the organization. So if anyone's interested, feel free to reach out to me personally or to Carly, info@casper.ca. She definitely ensures that all the inquiries are directed to the right people. So thanks again for logging in today. I'm really looking forward to learning more about virtual fairs.
Thanks, Brenna. I do have to say I took over the treasurer role for about 6 months when Brenna took a leave of absence, and I don't really have very much math experience, and I did just fine. And it was actually really cool to be able to experience that and gain some knowledge within the financial sphere, I guess. So just letting you guys know that, yeah, you don't have to really have any like math background, because I sure don't. I'm definitely a communications, person. So
Yeah, we'll be here to support you for sure.
yeah, exactly. Great. And then I'm going to pass it over to Lexi to do a quick communications update.
Hey, everybody. So my name is Lexi. I'm the communications chair. And so our committee is responsible for most of the email communications that you get. That includes the newsletter, the headlines and physician recruitment emails. We also do the social media. We do website updates. And then we provide communication support to all of the other CASPR committees. That includes like the conference committee and the new name change committee. So we're looking for at least one more volunteer to take on something like the newsletter or the social media. There's also opportunity to help with the name change rollout. So if that's something that interests anybody, that'll be a fun little project. We're also looking for content creation. So even if you're not necessarily looking for a volunteer commitment, if you want to write blogs or articles, or if you want to help find member generated content related to physician recruitment, that would be really useful too. I would say the time commitment is 3 to 5 hours a month, kind of depending on what projects you take on. And it helps to have a background in marketing or writing, anything like that, but definitely not necessary. So if any of that interests you, please give me a shout, or just get in touch with Carly.
Great. Thanks, Lexi. So just to kind of, add a little bit to that. So as was mentioned, the name change has been approved and we are moving forward with it. So we are looking for volunteers, you know, on a few months basis. If you are interested in kind of helping with that name change, please put your name forward. We are looking for volunteers for that, more of a working group style. So we might be working together for a few months as the name change happens. And then if you want to stay on, you know, further, great. But it could be a short or long-term commitment. That's up to you. So again, please feel free to reach out to Carly if you want to get involved. That's info@caspr.ca. And we'd be happy to discuss those opportunities with you. So that's it for a quick board update. I know we're all here for the panel discussion, so I'm going to send it back over to Shannon to kind of lead that discussion.
Great, thank you so much, Sarah, and the rest of the board for providing the update. I also noted that Denise is in attendance, so we can also ask questions at a later time. For the Education Committee, I also saw a couple questions in the chat discussion, so we'll address those towards the end of the presentation. So I appreciate your engagement, and we look forward to discussing that a little bit further later on. So recently, I participated in the Family Medicine Forum, and in preparation for that event, I contacted local physicians, residents, and med students in our contact listing. In addition to this, I wanted to maintain some sort of semblance of attending the event in person, so opted to review our CASPR list and connected with fellow recruiters attending the Family Medicine Forum as well. So this was a great opportunity to network with fellow CASPR members. It allowed me to understand as to how busy other recruiters were and get a comparison to what was happening at our booth. So in the discussions that I had with the other recruiters, it also provided an opportunity to come up with a concept for this panel discussion. So to start us off, I would like to introduce some of our CASPR members from West Coast to East Coast. And today we have from BC, we have Catherine O'Moody, and I apologize again if I have said that last name wrong, who is the Senior Consultant Physician Recruitment Services and has been part of CASPR since 2012-2013. We also have Jacqueline McGuire, who has been a member of CASPR since 2016 and is a consultant for physician services. Catherine and Jacqueline are both from Health Match BC. We also have from Ontario, Karen Parker, who is the healthcare professional recruiter with Kenora, All Nations Health Partners. She has been a member of CASPR since 2018 when she started in her current role and volunteers on the Education Committee. We also have Jill Croto from Ontario, who is a physician recruiter with the Niagara Region Public Health. Jill has been part of CASPR for the last 9 years and has been part of the board and held the treasurer role for many years, and I'm sure other roles that I might not be aware of, so she can expand on that later. We also have representation from Nova Scotia, from Shirley Symes, who is a physician recruitment consultant with Nova Scotia Health, and she's been a member of CASPR since 2008. And I would like to thank all of them for being part of our panel today, and we will start it off with a brief introduction from everyone on who you are, what your role involves, and what job fairs you usually attend in person versus the ones that you have attended virtually. And then we'll move into direct questions. So I'll hand it over to Catherine to start it off.
Okay, thank you so much, and thank you everyone for joining us. My name is Catherine Omweti. Like Shannon said, I'm a senior recruitment consultant on the physician services team at Health Match BC. And for those who may not already know, Health Match BC is a free health recruitment agency funded by the government of British Columbia. We recruit physicians, and we also facilitate the recruitment of registered nurses and certain allied health professionals on behalf of the various publicly funded health employers in BC. We also provide immigration support to eligible healthcare professionals who would like to apply for permanent residency. My role really involves supporting these physicians who are interested in continuing to practice in British Columbia by providing them with information on the requirements of the provincial college, the College of Physicians and Surgeons of BC, as it relates to eligibility, and also information on immigration and their registration requirements. And really the primary goal for me is to try to the best of my abilities to match their skills and lifestyle interest to the vacancies we have available in the province. And in most cases, they get to self-select the communities they would like to work in. In the past year, I think, or in previous years, pre-COVID, I've had the opportunity to attend quite a few in-person conferences like the British Medical Journal's Careers Fair in the UK, the Family Medicine Experience, that's the US Family Medicine Conference, the Prime Med Conference, Family Medicine Forum in Canada, outside Quebec, Careers Day, the Anesthesia Association of Anesthetists Annual Conference in the UK, and the Royal College of Psychiatry Conference also in the UK, the Canadian Anesthesiology Society Conference, and the Canadian Psychiatry Conference, the Canadian Pediatrics Conference, have been the ones I've had the opportunity to attend in person. And of course, in the last year, I must admit, I did attend one in-person conference this year, but we just barely missed the pandemic. So in February, I attended in person the Outside Quebec Careers Fair. And then from then on till now, every other conference has been virtual, which has been the BMJ, the FMX, FMF, outside Quebec, which is going to be at the end of this week. And which other ones? Oh, the Health Match BC Virtual Careers Fair you may have heard about. So those have been the main virtual events we've attended this year. Health Match BC does participate and partner with other organizations when we've had the chance to have in-person events. So we typically would partner with BC Health Authorities and also the BC Division of Family Practice in quite a few of the conferences, like particularly the Canadian conferences, and also the big one like the Family Medicine Forum.
Perfect. Thank you, Catherine. We'll move it on to Jacqueline as well, and she can provide an introduction to her role. Thanks, Catherine.
I won't take up too much time as me and Catherine have very similar job descriptions. The only other virtual conference that I attended was the Rural Coordination Center of BC, which is a specific BC conference virtually. But otherwise, she kind of listed it all off. We facilitate the licensure process for physicians. We create introductions to the regional health authorities. And if they're awarded a job, we can assist with immigration. We are not involved in the selection or interview process, so I'll just add that note to it. And then I'll pass it back to you, Shannon, and you can introduce the next person.
Thanks, Jacqueline. I'll hand it over to Karen Parker in Kenora.
Hi, everybody. Happy to be here. So I am the community physician and healthcare professional recruiter for Kenora area. I'm often the first point of contact. So when I do marketing, it's for mainly physicians, but also nurse practitioners. If there's a specialty, rehab, nursing, something else that's in a shortage for our community, then I'm also supporting that as well. More for people coming in, like community attachments and things like that. I'm lucky in that I do have a nice budget for travel, and I've spent the last little bit trying to figure out where the best events are for me for return on investment, focus with family medicine. So SRPC is one of mine that I go to. I like to go to the university career fairs if there's an opportunity, FMF, FMRQ. I did a few, like a specialty, psychiatry, internal medicine. Again, just depending on what we're looking at and where the type of positions we're looking to fill sort of immediately, and then getting the word out there as well. I did get to go to FMRQ early this year, and now they're having one next week too, or at the end of this week, I think it is. So it is one that's good. I like that one a lot. So I'm excited to see. I think a lot of events pivoted really quickly to get on the virtual platforms, and so I give them a lot of credit for doing what they've done. It's definitely interesting.
Great, thanks, Karen. I like the point about that a lot of organizations definitely pivoted in the short time frame and are allowing for us to still network and recruit potential candidates. So thank you very much, Karen. I'll pass it over to Jill to provide her introduction.
Thank you, Shannon. So my name is Jill Croto, and I'm the family physician recruiter for the Niagara region, falling underneath the public health umbrella. So my primary role is family physician recruitment, and I support about 260 family docs in about a 450,000 catchment area. So full cycle recruitment, normally the first point, of contact with physicians that are looking for opportunity, and then supporting them through LMIA applications, licensing, immigration, and then, onboarding as well. So I normally attend a number of career fairs throughout the year, including Family Medicine Forum, university career fairs for McMaster, Western, U of T, Queen's, Ottawa. And I've also hosted some of my own recruitment events for the Niagara Family Medicine residents and for the University of Buffalo, because we're a border region. So this past year, I attended the FMRW for Western. That was virtual KW McMaster and FMF. And I'll also be attending the out of Quebec Career Fair as well on Friday.
Great, thanks, Jill. It's nice to know that some of the people that are regularly attending the Outside of Quebec Career Day will be there as well. So I'll try to come by your booth again, as I'll be attending on Friday as well. Thank you for your introduction, and I'll pass it over to Shirley in Nova Scotia.
Thank you, Shannon. So I'm Shirley Steins. I'm the physician recruitment consultant for Nova Scotia Health. And my colleague Mindy and I are responsible for the Northern Zone. The province is broke up into 4 managerial areas. So Mindy and I cover Cumberland, Colchester, East Hants, and Pictou counties. You may be more familiar with Amherst, Truro, and New Glasgow, where our regional hospitals are located. So while Mindy and I share the work of the Northern Zone, we support provincial recruitment with our valued colleagues across the province. So if I don't attend events, one of my colleagues would perhaps be at one of those events. So a lot of the events that were mentioned, I've participated in, or my colleagues have. And like most recruiters, the process that we're involved in is very similar as well. We attend events and job affairs, mostly virtual, of course, right now. We're involved with the advertising and digital marketing. We connect with our candidates. We provide opportunities, explaining the incentives, guiding them through the relocation process. We have regular meetings with primary healthcare and our zone department heads. Some of the events that we've attended, or that I've attended virtually, were the Dell Family Medicine. So we have the Dalhousie University here, and they have a faculty weekend, and all of us recruiters are invited to attend that. Pri-Med I've attended virtually, the BMJ, Western University, and the Family Medicine Forum. And as I said, as a whole, our team is spread out, and who's ever available will attend the events that are going on at the time. We do cover family medicine and specialty, and we're doing some of our own events with, we're providing some Nova Scotia Health webinars. So thank you.
Fabulous. It's great that people are embracing the virtual model and having webinars included in their recruitment strategy. So thanks, Shirley, for your introduction. I'm going to ask Carly to put up another poll. We'll go over those results later. In the meantime, what I'm going to do is essentially ask a question to each of the panelists, depending on time, and we'll see as to whether or not we include additional information, just because I want to give opportunity to have the Q&A as part of the session, and give an opportunity to network as well, and go from there. So I'm just going to hand it over to Catherine. Do you partner with other organizations at job fairs? And if so, which ones and why?
Yes, sorry, I know I went into that a little bit earlier. We do. Health Match BC does partner with most of the regional health authorities in BC. And also the divisions of family practice in British Columbia. And the reason is because in some cases we're able to have physicians accompany us to those events, And it's also a collaborative move because it's showing BC as a united front, recruiting on behalf of the entire province. So we've done that, for example, at the Family Medicine Forum quite a bit, where we have a booth that has the 5 health regions in the province, and we have representatives from each region. So regardless of where the delegate might be looking to work, they would likely have someone from that region available to speak with them at the booth as well.
Great, thank you very much. I think that it's quite a common occurrence amongst all the panelists, is that depending on the job fair, that they will look at their budgets and things like that, and what their bang for the buck as to which events that they will collaborate with either health authorities, other communities and clinics, and kind of figure things out that way. But later on, we can ask some additional questions to the rest of the panelists. So I will just move on to our next question. What have you noted as key differences between in-person and virtual job fairs? And I'll hand that over to Jacqueline.
Thanks, Shannon. So some of the key differences that we noticed between in-person and virtual job fairs was that we were traditionally quite busy with delegates visiting the exhibit halls during their breaks and meals. We always strategically tried to choose to be right close to the coffee stations or where the food was, because there would be more traffic. Our experience with the virtual career fairs was that there was very poor attendance, far lower than what we would have previously experienced in person. We had both good and bad user platforms, some more poorly designed with not all of the functions working when it did go live. It was often a mix of chat boxes and Zoom meeting rooms, Zoom type meeting rooms. They weren't all through Zoom, but there was never an opportunity to be alerted when someone enters your booth. So that meant that you had to keep an eye on multiple areas and kind of sit waiting in an open, empty chat room, waiting for someone to come on, just because there was no ding or anything. Whereas in person, you could probably still get some work done, and you'd know if someone approached your booth, or you could start a dialogue. So sitting in an empty room wasn't great, especially when we were attending the BMJ, which for us in our time zone was from midnight to noon. We also noted that the exhibit hours were kind of all day, whereas typically there's shorter time periods that you would actually attend in person. So for example, the BMJ was midnight to 12, that's 12 hours. You wouldn't go and necessarily attend for 12 hours. And we found that if we were to follow more of the session schedules and where there was breaks, that's when maybe some traffic would kind of come through. One notable difference was obviously the cost savings. We weren't traveling, but our return on investment was very poor. A lot of the reports that we pulled from it were not great. I'm not sure what people's experiences were with the FMF, but when we pulled our reports at the end, there was no contact information. We couldn't get the email addresses even. So that's a little bit disappointing. So that was kind of our experience.
Thank you, Jacqueline. I also recall, based on our conversation, was that when you guys attended BMJ, it was interesting because of the time zone difference as well, having to, I think you said, getting up at 2 in the morning to attend the job fair.
Yeah, a lot of them were in different time zones, and of course, us being in BC, it makes a huge difference. So it wasn't great for people sitting around in the middle of the night in empty Zoom rooms.
Definitely. And I like the part about the dinging. I remember joining a conversation, and they were actually talking about me in a good positive light, but I just said, I'm like, excuse me before you say anything else. I'm actually here. So yeah, that was kind of funny on my end. Karen, do you have anything to add to that on your experience so far?
That was a really good recap, Jacqueline, for very similar to what I've experienced as well. While I do credit, the companies for shifting to the virtual platform, I think they're all learning. Similar to you, I have had good and bad experiences so far with the number that I've been to. And again, it's more the sitting there waiting. You don't have that same engagement with the attendees like you would have somebody wandering through the hall picking up a free pen just looking for something like that. You don't necessarily have that. What I did find for me, specifically with FMF, because they had so many different networking areas on their platform, that the attendees, I think it was because it's so long and big, it's 3 days, they kind of wanted variety. But then as a presenter, you really had to go and look for the networking opportunities and put out some chats. Like that's how I sort of did my engagement, was I would go into their little social thing and put up a comment, because if somebody clicked on my name, then it would draw them into my booth. So you kind of have to think outside the box for how you would want to engage people, because it's definitely more like, it's not passive. Like they're not just going to wander by and have a conversation. The attendees actually have to go looking for you, and they have to go into the exhibit hall or the space. There was one organization that sort of did a poll to find out what people were looking for, and that's something that I would recommend to like Health Force Ontario if you're sponsoring, because I know they work together with a lot of the medical schools in Ontario anyways to do the career fair things, maybe polling the residents ahead of time so that the presenters aren't just giving what they think the residents want to know, but giving them the information that they're asking for. So sort of working both ways. It would be nice if the organizations were actually polling the presenters or the attendees to see what do they want or what would make them go into a booth. So each one is kind of different, so it's a learning curve. So I'm excited. Again, the budget is different. Like my budget's almost half because you don't have all those travel costs, because for me in Northern Ontario, it's difficult to get, it's more expensive to get different places. So hopefully I can attend as many virtual events as I can stretch my dollar to, and then kind of get a feel for what's good and bad and how to even give feedback. Like it's nice too when the organizers ask for feedback about how they could improve if they do have to do another one next year, who knows? So anyways.
That's great, Karen. I would add too that while we're learning to use the platforms, the physicians are as well. And I find that a lot of physicians that I spoke to that I specifically targeted, and they weren't sure how to come into a meeting, and they weren't sure whether or not that there would be 10 other people there as well, and weren't very comfortable with that, not knowing as to how it was formatted. So it was kind of interesting to get their feedback on their experience as well. I'll ask Carly if you want to put up the results of the poll question, that would be great. And we'll just go over that quickly. I'm not sure if you already did that, just because I was paying attention to the screen. So we have, how long have you been a member of CASPR? We had quite a bit between the 2 to 4 year mark, and we have 16% at the 5 to 10 and 10 plus. That's great. And it's great that we see some first year new people in as part of CASPR. So we look forward to your continued engagement, and we'll see as to how 2021 goes. We'll also put up another poll, and I'll ask the next question to Jill. How has your virtual events changed your recruitment and branding strategy?
So I think that with this new virtual platform, I think it requires a little bit more, I guess, of the PowerPoint presentations, some of that. Yeah, so a little bit more of the creativity piece. There's a lot more presentations where normally it would be informal, casual conversations as people were walking by your booth. So I think there's a little bit more planning in how you're presenting, how you're setting your booth up. A lot of it is uploads. So, I think after you do a couple, you get to be, you have a file folder with all of these things in them. So, for example, the out of Quebec, you have all the information that's there, and you can just upload it into your virtual booth. So it's definitely kind of a process. Yeah, and I think, I echo what Karen and Jacqueline have spoke to about, just some of the lag times, so I guess that piece is a little bit of an adjustment as well. Yeah, so we're all kind of going through it together. So it's just an adjustment, and hopefully it's not going to be permanent.
Great, thank you, Jill. Yeah, it's quite the adjustment, and getting an understanding as to how to use all these new technologies has been quite the learning curve. So, and adjusting the way we present our material has been quite interesting. So thank you for answering that question. I'll pass it over to Shirley to answer the following question. Is there anything in particular that you have learned from moving from in-person to virtual events that you'd like to share with the group?
Well, I've definitely learned I have more time in the office. I've learned we can still be effective and bring a personal touch at a different level. We're not there to do the face-to-face, but there's still a lot of value to the virtual events and how we can have that personal touch. This might not have been possible 10 years ago, doing things virtually. And just to add to what some of the other folks have said about how things have changed, we have taken a look at how we need to embrace virtual recruitment and how that might look. So we're being creative, and my colleagues and I are thinking outside the box, how to be innovative around how to approach people. So we are thinking about how can we make these connections with folks that we would typically make at a huge event. How can we ensure that we're not missing anyone? So we are striving every day to learn more and more about how that's possible.
Great, thank you. I'm going to ask Carly to put up the answers to the last poll that we did. So following a virtual job fair, have you moved forward with any solid recruits as a result? So it's great to see that there's at least 17% that, there has been some leads, and unfortunately 42% with no. And hopefully there's an opportunity for those that haven't been able to attend a virtual event to experience that and or test it out and see what works for your group accordingly. So thanks for participating in those polls. The next question is, what has been the most challenging piece for moving from in-person events to virtual events, and what have you done to adapt to that challenge? And so I'll pass it over to Jill first.
Sorry, Shannon, you're going to have to repeat that question.
That's okay. What has been the most challenging piece from moving from in-person events to virtual events? And yep. What have you done to adapt to that challenge?
I think, utilizing graphics, I would say our communications team to try and put things together, building PowerPoint presentations. So, that's a piece that I hadn't really spent a lot of time on in the past, with handouts and whatnot. So this is all something that you need to do virtually now. I think that, for most of us, we like to do lunches and dinners and those types of engagement activities with residents or incoming physicians. And that has really been, it is part of our recruitment strategy. Having Zoom meetings, Zoom dinners. So something that we've kind of looked at. Normally I would host a Christmas party for our family medicine residents here in Niagara. So this year we're doing a flower arranging Zoom event. So we'll have lunches delivered to all the residents, and then they'll participate in kind of a fun thing for them. So no, it's just thinking outside the box, but utilizing the resources that are out there, just in terms of some of the restaurants, or if they're able to deliver, or just being creative with all of that. So we just have to adjust.
Great, thanks, Jill. Mm-hmm. So that kind of wraps up our panel presentation, because we want to leave time for a networking 5 minutes as well as a Q&A at the end. So we will now move on to our networking section of the event. You will be divided up into groups. I would encourage you to do a roundtable of introductions, and just like, if you remember Saturday Night Live skit, which is called Coffee Talk, I'll give you a topic to discuss, as Mike Myers would do the little hands. How has the pandemic altered your recruitment strategy, and have those strategies proved to be successful? We'll separate you into groups and we'll give you about 5 minutes, and then we'll come back as a group and we'll kind of go over the wrap up details. So I'll ask Carly to divvy you guys up, and note that I don't believe that the breakout sessions will be recorded. So just as a FYI.
Anesthesiologists are a lot more interested in some OR time because we're from a small community and we're low risk. So we have work available for them. So they've been coming to us. So in that sense, it's been a really godsend. As far as recruitment, a lot of our recruitment is done through our medical learners, students. So that has not impacted anything as of yet. Our students keep coming to the communities and we keep giving them a great experience. We also had a site visit, for example, yesterday from a general surgeon. So in that aspect, it hasn't changed much.
Okay, I can go next. Cindy Snyder with Kawartha Lakes Healthcare Initiative. So I'm responsible for recruiting family doctors to my community, which is in kind of South Central Ontario, includes Lindsay, which is where our hospital is. Changes I have found.
That's great. So how have you guys done your virtual site visits? Like, do you guys do little recordings? Do you take an iPhone and videotape, or how have you guys done it? I've heard from the States that they've kind of done rogue ones.
It's kind of been evolving. So we have recruiters in each of the different zones. So some of them have worked with their partners in their different areas to create videos of like community videos. So showcasing the communities, but also videos of the practices, or some recruiters are just going into the practices, kind of hosting a Q&A with the physician leaderships within the clinic or admin staff, and doing like virtual tours throughout the clinic. So it depends on the area or the zone that you're talking about. It depends on the recruiter, and the recruiters kind of respond to whatever the physician needs are or the clinic needs are that we're showcasing, as well as the community. So it depends.
How about you, Catherine? Like, how is the, like, have you guys done like lots of virtual, like,
We have.
site visits and stuff? And how have you guys adapted?
So where we are different is that we source the candidates for the employers, right? So we're not really the clinics or the hospitals. We source
Hi, everybody. Thanks. I hope everybody had a good opportunity to network with other individuals. We hope that you were able to meet some new people and reconnect with some familiar faces. We'll give an opportunity in the chat box if you'd like to add a comment. If you learned anything new or what you enjoyed about the networking piece, you can add it to the chat box and that'll be helpful for us. We also will allow for any questions as it relates to the board update and panel discussion. So you're obviously welcome to unmute yourself and join in the conversation. I noted that Maria Gomez had a few questions with regards to, I think there was something about the website. If you want to maybe unmute yourself and then hopefully I can answer your question. And I think that there was a couple questions with regards to the panel discussion, so we can try to answer that as well from the panel group. I don't know if I can't see Maria, so maybe I'll go back into the chat and see what her question was. In the meantime, if anybody else has a question, you can say it now, and then I'll try to find the other one.
Hey, Shannon, it's Lexi. I think I saw a question early on from Maria about changing the website. So while we're doing updates all the time, we don't have any definite plans for a new website anytime soon. It's not off the table, and we know we have to keep that up to date, and of course that the time will come, but I don't think it will be in the next year at least.
I've
got a question
Yeah.
about, oh, sorry.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Marcel.
I was going to say, I have a question about the university career fairs and where folks are finding information about them.
Do you want to answer that, Jill or Jacqueline?
Sure. Typically, we have a long list of conferences that we had attended in the past or career fairs. So a lot of them would be reaching out to like resident student organizations. Sometimes they'll put those types of career fairs on. We haven't been attending very many this year because I don't think a lot of them pivoted quickly enough, but it'll be interesting to see what comes about next year. And then on our marketing front, we usually target those areas both digitally and also with print ads in like their usually like a yearbook or some of their journals or something like that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jacqueline. Another question was, what kind of items are needed for virtual booths? Maybe I'll pass it to Catherine if you could answer that.
Oh yes, sure. Thank you. So most of the materials we've uploaded were the same documents that we took to in-person conferences that we would have had to ship, and pay all the shipping costs. So they were all converted to PDF. And then we also had a map of British Columbia, and all of those documents were uploaded. So we had a general booklet that had information for both specialists and GPs. And then we had one pagers for specialists and GPs. We also had information about the new primary care network initiative in BC. So we had a PDF of that, a one pager, and the practice ready assessment program in BC. Jackie, did I miss anything?
I'm just going to add that depending on the platform, there's opportunity to upload a video if you had one. So sometimes the structure of your booth might be a page, and then in the corner there'd be a video so that when they enter your booth, they would immediately see a video. For our virtual career fair that we did for Health Match BC, we had 6 webinars leading up to it. And then those same 6 webinars throughout the thing, you could click on to rewatch those webinars that would be informative on several different topics from licensure to immigration and then specialty practice opportunities and things like that. There's also the opportunity, I think, to put like pictures, and then you would have branding, and then you could tag all of your social media, anything like that, so that when you went to your booth page, it was set up almost like a little mini tiny website. And then there'd be a chat function in the corner, and then you'd put up your headshots and contact information and things like that. So it was pretty interesting to see. So but there is some variation depending on what the platform was that was used.
Shannon, you're just on mute.
Thank you, Brenna. I see that a lot of questions are coming in and I really want to answer them all. Unfortunately, I just want to be respectful of everybody's time and that we're 2 minutes to our cutoff. So if you do have questions, I would encourage you to, I would just encourage you to maybe put them on the Q&A board as well, and then we'll try to incorporate or try to answer them after the event accordingly. But we'll just try to be respectful of everybody's time. So I just want to keep that in mind. So, so I just want to thank everybody for their active engagement in today's meeting or today's webinar. We hope we'll be able to provide additional sessions like this in the future. We also hope to be able to provide additional, we hope that if you are approached to volunteer and or participate in a panel discussion like this in the future, that you'll consider being involved. And I would like to thank our board for providing an update on their committee's plans. I would like to thank our panelists for agreeing to be part of our first session and giving us their candid insight on their experience with evolving and adapting the recruitment strategies to include virtual job fairs. And thanks to everyone, and have a great rest of the day. And I just want to, reiterate, if you haven't signed up for 2021, please sign up. If you haven't participated in any of the surveys yet, I would really encourage you to be involved with that. And I just want to thank everybody and to have a great holiday season, whatever you celebrate, New Year's, everything, and all that kind of stuff. So thanks so much. We'll sign off.
Thank you, everyone. Happy
Thank you.
holidays.
Bye.